Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Paranormal Weekend Morning Brew Show. I'm Nighthawk, one of your hosts. We've got Eric waiting backstage, and we're going to get through the disclaimer, and we're going to talk about some personal stuff that we've been investigating and researching in our own areas today. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one, okay? The copyright disclaimer is Nighthawk Eye Strange's podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel declare fair use of any and all content. That's any and all content, including the music and the intro and the outro, to be used for the purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and entertainment value per Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known herein as the fair use. All righty, let me get that off of there. And good morning, Eric.
Hey, brother. Good morning.
Let's give some people in the chat a hello and a shout out and see if they're actually listening. We might have some that aren't going to be in today because of the weather in their area. And we all know, talking about the bad weather, let's continue to pray and do what we can to help the Hurricane Helene victims out. I posted yesterday afternoon and evening, or early evening actually, and on Facebook, where finally Walmart, one of the big corporations in the country, has sent in some 60 tractor trailer loads full of food and water and everything to hurricane victims. Whether that's legitimate or not, I mean, it could have been just a whole publicity stunt for all we know. But only the people there that are affected by the hurricane are going to know that for sure. So hopefully we know some of them that are, that can disclose that information to us. Let's see here. Let's see. Now I don't see anybody. Let's see here. All right. Trying to get back to my pictures here. No, it's not showing very much, is it?
No. What I find interesting is any outside, Rhonda, any outside entity that tries to come in to aid them in that zone, they're getting arrested, pushed out, tires slashed. Yet Walmart's rolling in. Very interesting.
Well, they got to be the saving grace. Apparently, their only reason they're doing it is because they're helping out the certain political
I think it's for
affiliation.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Ida.
Ida, good to see you.
Yep.
Rhonda, good to see you.
I don't know, man.
Ida, I mailed out Ida's package to her the other day, so she should be getting it, and I'll be getting the other ones out here probably on Monday.
Heck yeah. So today's topic is going to be a good one. I can start if you want with the weird stuff I've had going on while we're waiting on more people to come in. Mine's not near as interesting as yours is. So I've had some kind of interesting stuff going on my property here lately. Game cams taking 20 to 30 shots at a time. Go out, replace the batteries. Not even 30 minutes later, one of them's down to 59%. And odd lighting on my pictures. Very odd lighting for my pictures. This is what I'm talking about. I've had this game cam in this area. Huh?
That looks like it's daytime.
Well, and that's interesting is this camera has been in this spot, same spot for 3 or 4 years now. And I've never caught lighting like this on my game cam before. I mean, yes, it's daytime. You can tell by the shadows of the trees. But it's the fact that this is extremely bright. Almost like the sun literally is coming right next to my game cam.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I've got
true.
other pictures. I can upload one in the same area real quick that shows you what it's normally like in that daytime. Normally, it's not that bright in the daytime. Well, I say that, but now it's not wanting me to upload them. Go figure.
So I know backstage we talked a little bit about this prior to coming on, and I had the theory about the game cameras you say have been in the same locations for a while now, and I remember several months back about a couple of your dogs disappearing. I had two actual ideas on the whole subject matter. The first one I told you about backstage, which maybe it's the spirits of your dogs that are missing, that are deceased, possibly, their spirit coming back to a familiar location where they know you will be, and they could be tripping your cameras off on purpose to try and let you know they're still around. Secondly, my second thought on it was you got a visitor that is very, very energetically charged. Very, very sends out a very, very light bearing frequency, let's say. So, that could be anything really. And it could be anything from aliens to orbs to anything really, sending off that kind of an energy, to make the cameras, the contrast on the camera get all messed up like that.
It could be.
Morning, Richard.
Normally, even in the daytime, this is what that area looks like. So you can see a huge, huge difference. I mean, this is the exact same area that it was caught the other day. Now, granted, this was caught back in July, but it's the same exact area.
Right.
Normally, my daytime pics look like that, and then I get that.
Huh.
Now,
this is
that's
the two theories I had.
Yeah, and this is in.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the one by my bow stand. No problem. This is the one by my bow stand, which that new game cam that I've caught that weird stuff on is in between my house and my bow stand. That we've caught that two possible portals, possible phase or orbs, whatever it was. Right. This is just on the other side of it, down in the holler where my bone stand is. So technically, it's all in that same area.
Hello, Roxanne. Good to see you in here. Richard, it's good to see Richard in here too. Good to see you, my friend. I just, there could, here's another thing too. And I hate to bring this up, okay, but I really, really do think this might have something to do with a lot of the weird stuff that's happening there, with electronics and all that, with batteries going dead. What if it was a charge coming up from an electrical charge coming up from the ground due to possibly earthquake activity that is not registering yet, but yet we all know that section of the country is overdue for a 6 or 7 earthquake pretty soon. So
I mean,
what if it was
strongest the strongest earthquake to ever hit the United States happened here, and it ran the Mississippi backwards for 3 days and rang the bells in Maine. And so I mean, and that one was supposed to have went off 10 years ago, I believe, is what they predicted. 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
That could be, but
So what if
I mean,
yeah, what if it is environmental then? Because you know, there's a lot of weird stuff happening in the central part of the United States, especially along the Mississippi. Um,
yeah.
there's fish dying off. There's animal mutilations. There's disappearing domestic pets. There's
Mm-hmm.
cryptid sightings. There's lights in the sky. Um, so maybe something's attracting all of this paranormal activity to that specific area of the country because of something environmental going off.
Well, and there's two other things to add on top of that. We sit on the largest water aquifers in the U.S. Um, Not only that, look at all the limestone and granite we have here, and all the caves that we have here. So, I mean, you
Right.
got we know from paranormal and supernatural aspects of it, water, limestone, granite, all of them are great conductors, very good conductors for especially paranormal activity.
Right.
In which I have a lot of water that runs underneath me and around me here. Got a lot of sinkholes too, Lauren. Yeah, we do. We do. So I mean, if I'm getting strange stuff like this, it's all of a sudden, whoop, I lost it, popping up on my game cams out of nowhere. Could it be seismic activity? Yeah, very well could be seismic activity. Could it be, I don't, supernatural, paranormal? I mean, yeah, the list goes on. I mean, there is
Yeah,
so many
Lauren, good to
parables
see
that.
you. Caucasian Sasquatch, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you in here. Um, yeah, Lauren, that's a good point. Lauren brings up the fact that there's more water under the surface than there is above,
Mhm.
and there's more water
Thank you.
above the surface than on the surface, if you know what I mean. Hint,
Yep.
hint. Because it
Oh
says in the
yeah.
Bible, as above, so below, and it says that the above the firmament is water, is another ocean. So
Mhm.
you know,
Well, I
but
mean,
that's
in people. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah.
Um, People
Go,
forget the
go ahead.
simple
Go ahead.
fact that when they talk about the Great Flood, it says in every single religion out there, even Christianity, that the waters came from below and from above. They said that fountains of water shot from the ground and came up when the Great Flood happened. And it came from the heavens and rained down upon the earth, which caused the Great Flood. That or there will tell you alone that there is tons and tons of water underneath the surface of the planet. Yep, did we lose you, bro? Yep, we lost him. Give him a second. We'll let him work his way back in here. Um, it is. You're absolutely right. I mean, ethereal leathers. Yeah. I mean, there's more fluid than not. Yeah. Maelstrom holes everywhere, no matter how big or small. Hey, Melissa.
With us.
Oh, I barely heard you. There you are. Oh, think we lost you again, bro. We'll see if he can get back in here. Um, could be just a type of energy vortex since there's and so this just hit me. I didn't even think about this. Um, certain situation that's happened in a certain part of the United States here recently has been linked to a certain organization. Could this be a capture of it being shot off? Could I have actually caught something like that shooting through the air, which caused a certain thing to happen? Also possible. And let's see. And on gravity, we have more and mount these with this and then actual stable places of gravity. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these vortexes and stuff like that. Drop completely out of StreamYard and relaunch the browser you are using should help, what Caucasian says. I don't think CERN has much power as they want you to. Well, I'm not talking about that one, Richard. I'll type it in here because I'm trying to keep from William's channel getting in trouble again. There's too much evidence of this entity here having something to do with what's happened recently in a certain part of the world that we know all well. So that's kind of where I'm talking about. This topic of lake monsters, yeah. Man, William's still, I guess, having troubles. Yep. There's enough stuff linked to that thing that I typed into the comments that suggests they're behind a couple different places that we're well aware of. Don't know. I've asked AI, and some AI say they did cloud seed for that, and some say they didn't. Yeah, there's just I'm being very picky on how state stuff, man. I'm surprised William hasn't been able to get back in here yet. But there's plenty of evidence out there now that shows if you match him up to test areas, damn, we lost him complete. Showing them in test areas and then showing what happened in a certain. Oh, is it working now, brother?
I don't know. I don't even think I want to put my camera on right now because I think it's eating up a lot of the signal. So
okay. Well, we got your voice back finally, though. I mean, that's a plus.
yeah, well, they're definitely. I'm not showing any signal strength whatsoever here, so they're doing something. And I just started getting really, really dizzy too, really dizzy. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know if you catch some of what I was talking about, but a certain thing that happened in a certain place in the world very recently was linked to a certain organization that I typed in the comments. I'm wondering if I didn't catch a flash from that.
Yeah, you could have. You very well could have. They could have the. Well, I mean that's not the facility you're talking about in Alaska is not the only one. There's literally like 33 of them, which is an odd number.
Yep.
33 of them around the world. So, and I think the majority of them are. Yeah, I believe that the majority of them are owned and operated by the United States military or a branch thereof.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, I've been kind of digging into kind of some of this stuff, and it's kind of pointing towards them having something to do with it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's possible. That's very possible. And if they are doing it, I guarantee they're not just using the facility in Alaska. They're using it more closer to where you are, which
Yep.
I believe there is an installation somewhere in Missouri. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, man. And I mean, and if that is tied to it, that could explain not only the picture, but what's been going on with my game cams and everything else.
yeah, true.
See, and that's
I
another
just
thing.
got a
Did I
yeah,
get?
I just got a good
Oh,
I
sorry.
just got a good comment. Yeah, I just got a good comment about a direct energy weapon because we know that
Yep.
the DoD and everybody military industrial complex has that. That's for sure.
Yep. And, and Lauren's right too. Could I've caught some solar activity?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
we
that's
did have that big solar flare yesterday, that Class
mm-hmm.
G solar flare, I believe it was.
Let me pop this. Let me check the date on that. Let me pop this up. I can tell you what date. Um, this happened on. Well, that's weird. This said it happened on April 10th, but I just got this the other day. Huh.
Huh.
Oh, wait. No,
It's
I'm
very
sorry.
strange.
Brain fart. Brain fart. Never mind. Nope. This was taken yesterday. I forgot I have day, month,
Yeah.
year. So, yeah, this was taken on October 4th. So this was taken yesterday.
Okay.
So I guess it would take that one thing out.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, thing,
Yeah, and you
Richard,
do
ley
have ley
lines,
lines there.
people,
That's true.
yeah, the ley lines, people misunderstand what ley lines actually are. I mean, ley lines are a point from, or is a line from one point to another. Now, generally, they follow along the magnetic field of the Earth. But, like a ley line will lead between one marker and another marker, and that's what your actual ley line is. But people have tied it to the energy of the Earth because a lot of the stuff that it goes to is connected to the energies of the Earth. I think that's a big
Right.
misunderstanding. That's my opinion.
Well, what if it is? I mean, the magnetic fields are being all screwed with, and the magnetic poles are set to shift pretty
Mm-hmm.
soon. So it possibly could be something, electromagnetic going on there in your property, especially if you're
Yeah.
closer to the North Pole area than you are the South.
Mm-hmm. Which in this case I am because I'm above the equator. So yeah, I'd be closer to the North Pole. In fact, I think I'm closer to the North
Mm-hmm.
Pole than you are actually. Yeah, I am. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
I
know. If I go up to Ontario and hang a right, I could probably beat you there.
am. uh, but yeah, no, I mean it's interesting, and we know the magnetic fields have changed since the structures were built in the ancient times because the Earth itself has shifted. So the fact that the Earth
Yeah.
itself has shifted would change the magnetic lines on energy lines of the planet. Could I be getting one crossing over me right
Right.
now? Is this why weird stuff is happening? Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, it very well could be. The best thing to do is to keep a journal
Yeah.
too. Write down the way you feel and stuff when you're in that location. Write down, what kind of senses you're feeling, whether you're dizzy, whether you're nauseated, whether you're, just kind of confused or something along that lines. Because a lot of the physical ailments that people have can be directly correlated with everything supernatural going on and everything natural as far as magnetic fields go going on. So, I would definitely keep a journal.
Well, and that kind of makes sense because if you remember a couple of weeks ago, like no matter how much sleep I got, I had like zero freaking energy. And then I've been having trouble with my memory here lately. And the past couple of days, my negativity has been really high. I've been trying to work on that because I've noticed that my negativity and my temper has been not in a good place.
Right. They're not centered.
So yes, and it's just weird because I'm always centered here on this property.
Yeah, somebody or something is definitely interfering with the energies there on the property. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I got a little bit of an investigation I've been doing too locally, which
Yes.
is the report of a Wendigo. And being Native American, I hold that all the Native American legends very near and dear to my heart, and I want to investigate every Native American legend that's allegedly cited. And I use that allegedly cited, loosely because there's a lot of misconception about the Wendigo and about the walkers, the skin walkers. Okay, um, they're both they're both legends, yes, but they are both pretty much like a demonic possession. Okay, you're not going to see something walking around the woods near your home with a deer skull and deer antlers, and all that, 10 feet tall, you know, moaning and groaning, wanting to eat your face off. That's not what the Wendigo is. The Wendigo is a possession. Okay. And we learned that from going back and talking about Swift Runner, who is a Cree native person, and he moved his family out in the middle of nowhere up in the Yukon, and basically they had a rough winter, and he basically kind of unalived his family and proceeded to consume them um, gradually over a period of time. And it said that he was possessed by the Wendigo, and that's basically what it is. There have been some cases that have been reported to where they would be grotesque looking um, figures, where they're so hungry that they would eat their own lips off. So you would have
Mm-hmm.
something along this line that you would see. Okay. Now, they call it a carnivorous monster, but it's not a monster. It's not a cryptid. It is a possession. Okay. And as such, we need to give that the due respect that it deserves. But I
Mm-hmm.
actually had that investigation here locally, and I came up on some very, very odd information that I found out at this location. And I've come to the conclusion that it wasn't an alleged Wendigo sighting. It's one of two things. Either it is somebody having a little bit of a joke to someone that was camping, or it is a legitimate. And I've seen this cryptid before myself in person. It crossed right in front of me as I was coming home from work late one night, and went right into a local cave entrance, right down the road from where I live. I pointed the locations out to David and Melissa when they were here locally visiting with me, and Tracy and I pointed it out where I saw the cave creature go down in the cave at, and it literally it had the whitish skin color to it. Now I know this is not what I'm talking about, but this is as close as I can find to describe what I saw. Except the one that I saw was completely black, like it had covered its body in ash for some reason. Now, Native Americans, we use ash for quite a bit of things. We save ash, wood ash, to use as kindling again, like charcoal for a fire, to start fire. We also use it for our war paints and stuff. Mixing it with bear grease. So there's several uses for ash, even in ceremony, especially the black magic ceremonies of the Native people. That and ground up bones are used a lot. But what I figured was either it was a couple teenagers having some fun with somebody locally, or it was a cave creature. Now, I went and I investigated it, and I come to the conclusion that, you know, it's a 50-50 either way. Okay. Now, there are incidences where people are reporting things like this. Okay. This is kind of what was reported, but this is clearly a juvenile human being. Okay. Just basically made themselves up with the ash of the fire, the gray ash and the black ash, to make themselves look, ferocious, and hide in a cave to take a picture, you know. So obviously, it's not that. Okay. So our next step was to go into caves and basically see what it is. Now, you all know what Tommy knockers are. I believe you do. If you are into the paranormal, you know what Tommy knockers are. Tommy knockers are the spirits of deceased miners or elementals that are in the mine shafts. Okay. And they don't even have to be that deep down in. They say when you go into an abandoned mine shaft and you hear the hitting of the rock and stuff along the walls, that's the miners still working from the spirit world. So, and that's where the Tommy knockers come in. But so here is a case of Tommy knockers that I investigated about 2 years ago. Now, this picture, this picture is not enhanced, okay, but at the same time, you can see that the one on the outer side, on the outside, that doesn't have the eye glow is holding a hard hat. Okay.
Yep.
Now, sometimes when you get into places like this and you're taking pictures and stuff, your contrast on your cameras and your colorization on your cameras and your flash on cameras is going to cause disturbances in the person that's depicted in the photograph. But I, for one, could not account for why this was seen. So that was just curious to me. Now, another picture is this one. And this one kind of threw me for a loop, because I'm going to show you why. Okay. This is why I investigate, and I investigate until I'm blue in the face and conclude on my personal findings. Okay. So this next one I want you to take a look at. Okay. Here's this one.
Whoa.
Okay. Now you see that. Okay. And that's clearly it was supposedly taken right here within the Massanutten mountain range. That is a building that collapsed upon itself. But you compare that to this, and you'll see what I mean. You see the similarities?
Mm-hmm.
There is a definite similarity between those. So my conclusion on it is that what this individual experienced while camping was that it was a cave creature. Okay. I'm still 50-50 on it being possibly, young people making, pranking out this guy or not. But this guy is a very, very close and dear friend. And I know he's not lying because I could hear the crackle in his voice when he was telling me what happened. And so I'm going to leave it at that. You all can get your own conclusions on it, but as far as I'm concerned, he actually did not encounter a Wendigo. Wendigos are not cryptid creatures. They are a possession, an evil possession, where like a demon-like entity takes over the human being's body and makes them do gruesome things. So horrific things, like eat your family. So but that was the conclusion I came to. I'm still not 100% sure on the cave thing, but I'm going to keep on investigating it, and hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit far down that rabbit hole to see exactly what's in there. So that is the extent of mine so far, and it's been a hell of an experience investigating that, because at the same time when I was investigating that, a lot of other weird shit was going on around here. So a lot of weird stuff. And come to find out that earlier in the year, Small Town Monsters was here filming, and I'm not sure. I know they were up in the one mountain range that I actually disclosed, but I'm not sure if they were at this location, which is farther south and in a different mountain range. So, yeah, I'm kind of at a halfway point with this investigation so far. And when I get the energy up, I'm going to go out here probably. I might even go back out tomorrow to it. You never know. So that's where I'm at, Eric. I don't know if anybody else in the chat has had any weird dealings with Native American legends like this. Ray, good to see you. But yeah, it's really, really a freakish thing to experience. And when you hear the crackle in the guy's voice, and it says a lot for the experience that the person went through. They were truly, genuinely terrified.
Yeah. Well, and I'm trying to see if I can get something to pull up here. I caught a interesting video on my game cam the other day. But for some reason,
By the way, people, do not ever buy this coffee. Okay? Don't ever buy this coffee. Okay? It's Black Rifle, and you guys know I love my coffee. But this is the most bitter tasting coffee I've ever had. Terrible.
Dang, I drink a lot of Black Rifle coffee. Why will you not pop up? That makes like 0 sense. Huh. Well, for some reason, it is not liking. Snow, sit still, bud, or you're going to get put down. Or sit down. Now, come on.
Snow.
Well, I can't upload it. But I caught something interesting on my video game cam. You'll catch a deer, then you see something come through, does this weird thing, and then goes past the camera. And it's not like the other insects that's in it's not like the other insects that's in this video. This one's almost transparent. And I almost did not see it.
Well, you know that back in the 70s and 80s, there was a phenomena called the rods. They were flying rods that some people, you know, found it. Some of them were just glitches in camera work where the shutter speed was the exact flapping of the insect or the bird's wings, and it made it look like a rod. But like 80% of them were proven that they weren't a natural cause from the shutter speed on a camera. They were actually recorded that way. And they were said to be interdimensional too. So I don't know. Maybe that's what you're getting on there too.
This one's an orb, and you can see it. I mean, if you're not careful, you will miss it. That's how transparent it is. It is very. It's so transparent that it's if you can almost miss it. You really can. And for some reason, it's not letting me upload it on here. So I don't know how to fix that, honestly. It's not giving me an edit option where I can. I don't know why it won't. Huh. Yeah, I can't do it. But I mean, it's cool. Buddy, set still. But yeah, no, you can see it. I mean, it's almost invisible, and it comes across and then shoots this way. So it goes around the deer and comes back towards the camera. And if, like I said, if you're not paying attention, you can try it now.
Yeah, you can try and upload it. You can try and upload it now. I don't know if you having a problem uploading it to the site to StreamYard or not, but I just deleted a couple pictures, so you should be able to upload it.
It's not even finding it in the file. It's like gone. Like if I try to open it up, it has no items matched in your search. But if I pull up my independent file, oh wait, never mind. I think I just figured it out. For some reason, it was set on MP4.
Okay.
It has to be an MP4. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be.
Let me try it this way. Okay, yep. So, all right. Well, I can't show it. That sucks.
Okay.
And I don't know how to convert this to MP4 because I don't know.
What's the format of it? JPEG? Is it JPEG?
Let me see. No, it's not that because it wouldn't even show it in that. It's directly off my SIM card. It is in AVI file. It's 6.44 megabytes, 10 seconds long. I tell you, Roxanne, them brain farts have been catching me a lot lately. I'd have to run it through my clip art and then play with it that way to get it to work. So I mean, I won't be able to do it.
That's fine. Hey,
send it.
What have you? Did you have any? I was going to talk also a little bit about Ogopogo today, which is the Lake Okanagan, up Canada's lake monster, and how the native people, Lake Okanagan. But you know, when you think about it, it might even correlate with what's going on energy-wise at your property. You know how they say that all these lakes are connected by underground streams to the main body of water,
Mm-hmm.
which are the oceans, whether it's the Pacific or the Atlantic or the Bering Sea or whatnot. Um, what if everything underneath our feet was connected, with even the cryptids and stuff, with even
Could
the
be.
say the supernatural element too of it, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause-
look how much everything's connected to Mother Earth. I mean, and the energy of Mother Earth. So makes sense.
yeah, I mean, just thinking about the lake monsters alone and how they say that there could be connections under the ground with underwater rivers and stuff and streams. And we know for fact that when we go caving, that there are locations underground that do hold a very large amount of water. Um, and in fact, below my own place where I live, there's an underground stream, and it
Mm-hmm.
supplies the well system here. And there's times when, like with the heavy downpours and stuff, that we get all kinds of flooding and stuff because there's such a high water table here. So anything's possible. And thinking about the whole um, inner Earth type of a theory, the more I hear on a daily basis of all the weird stuff that's happening, the more I want to imagine that there is something connected to it underneath our feet. That these what we call portals could be just the fact that they find a location with a way to exit and an entrance, 50 miles away, where they walk it and they come out the other side. I mean, we did it back in the old days. We used to be able to cover our tracks with grabbing a pole pine bough and dusting,
Mm-hmm.
dusting our tracks off on the forest floor. Or we'd actually climb up one side of a tree to where our foot tracks would stop, and then we'd go from tree to tree about, say, about 100 feet, and then come back down onto the ground and continue walking. That way it would throw the scent of anybody's hunting dogs off. It would throw the scent of a good tracker off. you know um
Mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of little hidden things that we did back in the day. And granted, some of the percentages of things disappearing and all that and reappearing are that they could be that. um but I really believe the majority of it is because we don't really know what's under our feet. We really don't.
Mm-hmm. I sent you that video on Messenger. Um, hey, Demiria. Um, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, especially here in Missouri, we have so much caves, so much underwater, so much granite, so much limestone. Um, it's God, it's like a superconductor here. I mean, it really is. Missouri is a
Right.
freaking superconductor. And so, I mean, these disappearances, we have issues with sinkholes all the time, all over Missouri. Could that be disappearance issues? Yes. If the theory that, in which I'm a very strong subscriber to, that cryptids use cave systems, this is what, oh my God, I just realized I forgot to do something last night. I heard some really loud howls last night, and I didn't get a chance to get to my digital recorder in time. I need to start keeping that thing a little closer at hand.
Just
But we
put
were
it by
talking
the
about
window.
cave systems. Yeah, we were talking about cave systems and cryptids, and it just dawned on me. I was hearing some really loud howls in my bottoms last night, louder than my normal wolves that I have here. I mean, yes, I have timber wolves, Missouri timber wolves, and red wolves here in my area. But this one was kind of northeast of me. Sounded almost like in my bottoms or in the field across the road from where I'm at. But they were loud. And by the time I got to my digital recorder, um, I meant to leave it out last night for a while, see if I can catch it again, but I forgot to do it. I got sidetracked with the animals and forgot to put it out. But it just dawned on me I had them housed last night, and I live along the Niagara River. Niagara River is known for dogmen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really do believe that there is some kind of what do you call it? An underground highway system, byway system, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because you think about all the volcano lava tubes and stuff, and then all the caves, and then the underground streams. There's got to be a vast network underneath our feet. There really does. In order for all these things to be seen everywhere at the same time. So.
Yeah, what's the Mammoth Springs go from what? Can't remember if it's Virginia or the Carolinas all the way up to New Mexico, I think it is. I mean, that's a vast part of our country right there. I don't necessarily believe in the hollow earth theory, but I kind of believe what Richard's talking about, that our underground is more of a honeycomb shaped deal, not like a traditional honeycomb, but the same concept. I'm a firm believer in that.
Now you're making me hungry.
Yeah. Good honeycomb on some buttered toast. Heck yeah. But no, I mean, absolutely.
I'm trying to find a picture.
Yeah. About the best way to describe something that I wanted to show you guys. Has everybody seen where they take and pour like lead and stuff down ant hills, and when they dig it up, what it looks like? It's very unique. That's what I think our underground system of our planet is like. I might be able to find one of those. Let me see if I can find one real quick.
Come on.
Yeah, found one.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to look for a picture too here. So hold on a second.
No problem.
Okay.
Let's see.
Sure. Where is it?
Oh, I just made a connection the other day. Oh my God, I forgot about this. Holy crap. So I was listening to the Book of Enoch while I was at work, right? Because I have it on audio. And it talks about when he went into heaven and spoke with God, that he had 12 angels come from 12 different portals. What I find interesting about that is, we were talking about the Bermuda Triangle, and I said there's 12 of them altogether. 6 above the equator, 6 below the equator. They're all along the line except for 2, which one at the North Pole, one at the South Pole. 12 and 12. The 12 angels that were transparent and very bright that came from 12 portals. And then you got 12 Bermuda Triangle-like areas that has been known to our ancestors as portals.
Yeah, but I believe that there's more than just 12 of those triangles, because I can name 12 of them off the top of my head. And you have that phenomena all around the world. So yeah, I mean that's possible. That's very, very possible. But I think what some people are saying is a triangle really isn't a triangle. It's more of a gateway, more of a place where portals naturally happen, because you have stories of people walking out in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, when they're by themselves, away from their friends, they disappear. Like they're not found. And there was one instance I remember. I can't remember what state it was in. I want to say Maine. I believe it was Maine. Where a guy was walking with his friends. There was two other women and another guy that he was walking with, and they stopped the rest. And he said, "Oh, I'll meet you up the hill about 200-300 yards." He says, "I want to keep walking."
Mhm.
And they went up 200 or 300 yards and started shouting for the guy, and they couldn't find him. And it's very possible that when you're walking, you could actually unknowingly step through a portal that has opened up. Because we
Mhm.
all, have heard about, portals, and people disappearing. Take, for instance, that one farmer that was walking his field down in, I believe it was Texas. And, he was talking to somebody at a distance. And then that person turned around. I guess it was his daughter. And she said that he disappeared, but she could still hear his voice. So, it's very possible that some of these triangle locations, like the Beddington Triangle, um, the um, the Alaskan Triangle, the there's so many of them that
Mhm.
they're possibly just portals opening up and causing weird stuff to happen and people to disappear. And we all know that there's over 60,000 people that have become missing since Alaska was founded as a state. So
Mhm.
that in itself tells you that there's weird stuff happening. So I also wanted to point out that this picture here was taken by somebody of the caverns in our area. I believe it was back in, what was it? Let me think here. I want to say 95. Yeah, 95 it looks like. But this clearly shows three cryptid creatures inside the cave with
Mhm.
glowing eyes. Okay, and this was a newspaper article that I have uncovered. This is actually something that happened, that was reported and witnessed. Um,
Mhm.
so there can be anything in the cave systems underneath our feet, literally anything. And I don't put it past anybody when they report something to investigators and researchers like you and I, because I have to look at both aspects of it, of the possibility of something existing that hasn't been found, which we find new species every
Mhm.
day. You know, um, so there is that possibility. You know, some of
Mhm.
these things might be new species altogether, might have evolved over time underground, like the cave creatures, and what I found out with this investigation locally. So, there's just so many connections. Everything seems to point to the ground beneath our feet. So, just my thought.
Yeah. And I've got a picture here. This is what I was talking about with the ants and aluminum. And this is kind of
Mm-hmm.
what I picture what our inner Earth looks like. It's something like this. So it's not quite hollow, not your traditional honeycomb, but I believe this is probably the most accurate resemblance of what our underground tunnels are like in our Earth, our cave systems.
Well, and it would
Firm
make
believer in
sense too, because if it ever rained, then the tunnel systems wouldn't get flooded out, because the way
that.
ants do their cave systems is they make chambers to catch
Hmm.
the water. They make chambers
And that,
to cut back
yeah,
into the ground to get away from water coming in. So
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm a firm believer in. The ants mimic what our cave system is under our planet. I'm a firm believer in that. I can't remember. It was years and years ago when I'd done some studying on it that I came across that theory. And to me, it makes perfect sense. It makes sense with the Great Flood. It makes sense with the beings that survived the Great Flood by being in caves. And it makes sense for the structure of a planet to be like that as well. Just all of it kind of fit together. My opinion, my theory, but that's what I subscribe to.
Well, and if you think about the lake monsters too around the world, you got Nessie, you got Chessie, you got Champ, you got Okopogo, you got Lake Ilion has their own monster up in Alaska. There's so many reports of sightings of these lake creatures and other weird things that would make sense that there's some kind of underground system that connects all the waterways and the land masses together. Well, take for instance that story we did last month on the Solomon Islands, and the red-haired giants that were reported there during World War II. When the Marines came on shore, the Japanese soldiers were running towards them because they were more afraid of what was in the jungle eating their people than facing the Marines. They very freely just gave up their, and said here, and then of course the Marines, found out through talking to these prisoners of war that there were red-headed giants that were connected to an adjacent island by an underground tunnel system. So, and that's factual. That's fact. We had it on that podcast. So
there is so many lakes that have caves that ties to other lakes, other there's caves on land that connects to other islands. There's lakes that connect to the ocean by cave systems. So much of that stuff that's out there. Yeah. I mean, it all makes 100% perfect, fit to it. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. Government knows what undergrounds they built their own. Yeah, a lot of them built their own too, Richard. Exactly. People don't realize what we have here in just Springfield, Missouri alone through the Springfield caves.
Yeah.
What certain types of people come here during certain disastrous times to escape it. And that's down here in Springfield.
Right. So, I mean, it just makes sense, especially, because where I'm at, and where you're at, it's nothing but cave systems under our feet. And, with a lot of the legends, the Native American legends, they talk about these things disappearing, into thin air. Or what if there was just this type of a situation where an opening was hidden and hidden on purpose, which would have to be very good hiding abilities of an opening for not a Native American to find it, because back then in those days, we were pretty much a part of the land. So, but it just makes sense to me that's and maybe some of these missing people are actually caught up in those cave systems. I don't know. It's just a theory, guys. And that's all. That's all we have to work with now. It's just theories.
It does, and it makes sense why we don't see these cryptids on a day-to-day basis. Because if they're in these caves, so like here, I have a lot of activity now that goes year-round, unlike I did before. It gets hot as hell here. What's the best place to go to escape the heat? Caves. Caves stay at constant temperature all year round. I think it's on an average of 62 or 64 degrees, something like that.
Yep.
So, trying to get caught up on the comments here.
Oop,
I
yeah,
don't
I
know,
know.
man.
So
I
am
like
I.
danger myself. I love caving. I really love caving. Caving is so much fun. It really is. I mean, yes, there's a lot of danger aspect of it. Um, yeah, but there's so much stuff you can discover and you can learn from exploring caves.
No. Hey, I want to ask Ray something. Hey, Ray. I wanted to make sure you were okay, bro. With all that weather and stuff down there, with that last hurricane. Um, I just wanted to make sure you were okay because I know you're down there in that area, um, close to being where it was affected. So, just wanted to make sure Ray was okay because I didn't hear from him for a while. So it's good to see him in the chat.
Heck yeah. Yep. There's a lot of people starting to build homes inside of caves now, Roxanne. Yeah, because of that. I mean, it's the energy sufficient, well structured place to live. Native Americans used to live in caves in between traveling areas.
Yeah. Now, Richard, out there in Oklahoma City, I'm not sure. Do they have a vast cave system there too around Oklahoma City? Because I would imagine they would because of the mountains and stuff.
I know there's a lot of fracking down there.
Hmm. Well, Ray, I'm glad you're safe though, bro. I just, wanted to check on you. So maybe Lawton area. Okay. All right, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever really explored the state of Oklahoma for cave systems. But I would imagine that there's a cave systems in every state in the union. I mean, I
Yeah.
really, if you think about it, there would have to be. And then what cave systems are not even man-made? Because we know darn well that our own military and government has those underground tunnels that they can shuttle
Mm-hmm.
people to and from certain places that are isolated in case of war. So, oh, okay, yeah,
He
Richard, that
said,
does sound pretty cool. Yeah,
I love caving.
yeah.
Eastern Oklahoma.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love caving. I really do. I mean, yes, there's a crap ton of danger to caving. I mean, you really
Yeah.
have to be on your P's and Q's. You really have to be careful. I
Yep.
made a mistake one time. I went into this cave because I found it was full of fool's gold. So I was kind of interested in checking it out. You know, I can't 100% say it's fool's gold, but I'm pretty convinced it's fool's gold. But when I got in there, I kept getting this uneasy feeling,
Yeah, freaky.
and I'm shining my run away, got stuff to face and check on it. Take it easy, freaky. But I remember, I was shining my light around where I found a big O indention in the floor of the cave. I was like, I don't like the looks of this because I got a good feeling I know what this is. And so I'm
Right.
shining my light around some more, and sure as shit, my feeling was confirmed because right there was a big ass black bear print right
Huh.
on the ground and the floor of the cave. So when I
You
seen
know
that
what's
divot
weird?
in the floor, what's that?
You know what's weird? They actually listed um the state where I'm in right now. And I don't know if David and Melissa know this or not, but they might. But they have listed our state supporting Um, I'm not sure even how many, but on the Appalachian Trail, apparently it was discovered that there is a grizzly bear species actually here along the Appalachian Trail.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I thought it might have been confused with your black bear that are actually brown in color, cinnamon colored bear, just very big, But no, they actually reported it as a grizzly bear, and my sons and I were outside with Tracy. What was it? Probably 2 summers ago, I believe. And anyways, my son saw something big and dark moving in the tree line. So he ran up into the woods, and I went in after him, and we both stood there on top of railroad tracks, looking down into across the cow pasture behind our place, and in the wood line there, he says he saw Sasquatch, and I believe him. Okay, and I'll tell you why I believe him is because my son would not lie. All right. Secondly, he's an adult. He's not going to say something that he doesn't believe 100% to make himself look like he's crazy as a young adult. So, anyways, I looked over in the direction he was pointing, and there on all fours was a big brown colored bear, and it was as big as a grizzly. And it was as big as a grizzly. That's the thing. Okay. So for them to say that recently that there's possibility of grizzlies being here in this state, that wouldn't surprise me because there's a lot of locations in this state and the bordering states that follow the Appalachian Trail where people don't really walk. You know, people
Mm-hmm.
don't go off the Appalachian Trail unless they're professional, trackers and hunters and stuff. Okay. They're not going to go off the trail, you know, 5, 6 miles into nowhere, because they would get lost. That's how dense the woods are here and the mountain range. So, for me to see what I saw and for him to say he saw what he saw makes sense, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I was about to say something about that. A lot of people don't know the reason why Missouri's flag's got two grizz on it is because grizz used to be all over Missouri. Now, conservation will tell you that grizz got hunted out here a long time ago. But if you talk to the old timers when I was growing up, they still had, you talk about seeing grizz from time to time. I personally ain't never seen one here. I've seen black bear here, um, but I haven't seen no grizz. But there is still ports from time to time with somebody seeing a grizz.
Yeah. Well, that's like they reported, the fish and game here and the wildlife management teams here say, oh, there's no possibility of the big cats, black panthers or jaguars or mountain lions in this area. That's you just saw a bobcat,
Mm-hmm.
that's bullshit because I've seen a big black cat here, physically seen it in a farmer's field, and it was stalking deer. So wild, fish and game and stuff, they need to pull their heads out of their asses half the time to actually listen to the reports. So,
But we got into it Missouri Conservation for years because they told us that there ain't no cougar here. And we told them you're full of shit. You know, I personally have been stalked by cougars on a couple different occasions. I have chased one down the road in my 65 GMC, three on a tree, granny low. You know,
mhm.
we
Riley.
argued with them, and then when we had all them livestock mutilations here back in the mid 90s, mid or late 90s, we chalked it up to cougar because, well, we knew they were here, even though we were told they're not. We knew they were here. and we had a game cam footage of one. So all these livestock mutilations took place along the Nile River. It wasn't until years later when I started learning about Dogman that I started rethinking what our suspicion was back then. For one, I mean, we lost well over 100 different types of livestock. All of them had the fronts of their throats ripped out, their guts ripped open, and slashes down deep slashes down the sides of the livestock. I'm talking about horses. I'm talking about cattle. Pigs, sheep, goats. I mean, and even dogs. Which Missouri Conservation said it was a pack of bull mastiffs. Mastiffs, for one, ain't going to run in a big pack. Number two, they're not going to go out and just go on a bloodthirsty killing craze. They're not that energetic. Um, so I mean, that's what led me to start reconsidering what I thought happened to him back in the '90s, to it's possibly Dogman related.
Yeah,
but we got in arguments with them years, and we no they.
Yeah, I believe a lot of the sightings that when somebody says that they see something out of the ordinary, they're telling you that in the strictest confidence because they don't want to be led to believe that they're crazy or they're seeing things. So they're telling you something and reporting something to you in strict confidence, in that you A, won't think it's a joke, or B, laugh at them, or basically label them as crazy. And as investigators, as serious investigators, we need to be open-minded. We need to be able to look at the paranormal, at the cryptid, and at the supernatural levels all at the same time, when we investigate, because you don't leave any stone unturned. You just don't.
Mm-hmm. Riley says wolves have been spotted here in Rookstock after more than 100 years. They're making a comeback. I mean, that's another one too. They told us, Missouri Conservation told us that we didn't have wolves here in Missouri no more. And all us country folk are like, you're full of shit. We've seen them. I've got pictures of them on my game cams, red wolves and Missouri timber wolves. When we moved out here 32 years ago, the very first time I went deer hunting out here, I had a red wolf out in the field next to me. And that was back when I hunted with the 50 caliber CVA Mountain Stalker. It's a black powder rifle. I love black powder hunting. And, my first instinct was, oh shit. And I brought it up and I got thinking, this ain't causing me no harm. So I brought it down and I watched it. And it was a Missouri red wolf. I mean, that was 32 years ago. And conservation was telling us we didn't have no wolves here. And we're like, you're full of shit. Missouri Law Conservation loves to tell you we don't have certain things.
Yeah, they love to hide things too. Them and the Smithsonian love to hide things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can tell you now, the wolves here in Missouri are not going to attack you unless you do something to provoke them. I have lived with these things for 32 years out here. I've had them all around my property for 32 years. I've personally have locked eyes with them while hunting on different occasions. They don't mess with you out here. They either got to have something wrong with them or you've done something wrong for them to attack you. And this is something that really pisses me off. People want to blame wolves for attacks on things so often. They don't stop and realize and take a look at what's actually attacking things. It's not so much the wolves that's doing it. It's a damn crossbred between domestic and wolf. Them crossbreds, something goes on with the wiring in their head. They're the ones that 98% of these attacks that people are talking about are blaming wolves for. It ain't the wolves, it's the damn crossbreds.
Right. Well, everybody, it's been a busy morning talking about all these different subjects. So we're gonna conclude because I've got some more packages to get together and mail to people. So that being said, Eric, why don't you tell everybody what's going on with you here this weekend, and that way you can describe what's going on with your programs too.
Yeah. Good news. My latest book, my historical fiction, Viking Age Secrets in Mercia, is now available on Kindle, paperback, and hardback. And I have it up for auditions for audio. So you can go to Amazon to e.d.testerman and you can find my latest book. I've already got some really good comments of people who's already started reading it. So I mean that's a really good thing. Normally on Saturdays at 5 o'clock, I have a show called Campfire Chats with Eric and Guest. And this is a safe place for you to come and share your experiences and your encounters. I'm not having one tonight. What I've got prior arrangement that I forgot about, so I took it off. What I will be doing as soon as I can get it download, I spent a couple hours last night and I narrated chapter 2 to the latest book that I started, Beast of the Ozarks, book 1, First Kill. I will be having that released at 5 o'clock instead of my normal show. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I will be doing a show where I'm going to be reading different newspaper articles throughout history talking about Bigfoots and ape mans and giants and stuff that giant remains that was found, encounters with these Bigfoots and encounters of these ape men and stuff like that they tell us never happened, but literally was in newspapers. So I'll be going over that Sunday. That's pretty much it for this weekend.
Oh, that's cool. I want to say thank you to Candy too, and Roxanne. Thank you. Um, Roxanne, your package will be delivered on Monday, hopefully. Okay. Well, actually, to the mailbox, to the post office on Monday. So it'll probably be about 3 days for you to get it. Okay. Um, Eric, yours is going out Monday also. Ray, yours is going out, and I stuck some extras in it for you. Um, Going out Monday. In case Ray's still on here, I put a couple things in there because I wanted to make sure he was safe, and had some things to rely on. So that being said, everybody, we are going to be going live again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And we're gonna cover all kinds of different subjects. It's not just one. When I list the title on the podcast, it's not just limited to that one subject matter, because we ran the whole gambit today. We went from Wendigo to orbs and light, a magnetic field phenomena. Game cameras, equipment, malfunctioning, to lake monsters, to cave creatures, to you name it. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff today. So and we do that every day. It's not just limited to one specific subject. Okay. But we'll be back on tomorrow morning. Okay. And yeah, Ray, I want to make sure you got enough to stay safe, and I wanted to put some extra things in there for you too. So it's coming, brother. It's coming. All right. But tomorrow morning, join us again for another conversation. And then next Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, we'll be having another episode of Into the Red Rabbit Hole. And we're going to be going a lot deeper than what most think. I'm also going to try and go live on Rumble tonight. I couldn't do it last night because the internet was out for a period of time. It wasn't strong enough. But I'm gonna try and go live tonight on Rumble. So I just got to set it up on the computer here. So if I don't see everybody on Rumble, it's Nighthawks with an S, Nighthawks plural. High Strangeness on Rumble is the channel. If you're not if you're not subscribed, you might want to, because I'm going to go over the hurricane situation and my thoughts on it. And we're going to cover a few different things on that subject. Everything from weather phenomena to weather manipulation to, you name it, different types of stuff. So we're going to be covering the gamut of stuff, which would probably tick some people off, but that's why I'm doing it on Rumble. So that being said, everybody have a safe rest of your day. Enjoy it. Stock up on water. Stock up on. Well, we all know the toilet paper supply is going to be okay now. That kills me too. They talked about the ports shutting down on the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico, and the first thing the stores start selling out of is toilet paper. Most people don't realize that 90% of the toilet paper is manufactured right here in America. So you'll always be able to
Yeah.
wipe your ass, but you won't always be able to find food.
Yep.
That kills me. That kills me every time.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's
thank you everybody for being
I
here, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning. Okay?
peace,
Yeah, go
love, and
ahead. Your
blessings,
final
everyone.
thought.
Oh, yeah. It's just people are so worried about keeping their butt clean that they don't think about the more important things, which is food and water. It's hilarious. It is. People are funny.
All right, everybody. Have a great, great rest of your Saturday. Okay, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning right here. Okay. Take care, everybody. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Take it easy, everyone.